you know someone who is a friend, but also a role model? Well, I certainly do. His name is Randy Cordes, and he has been a great friend and someone I have learned a great deal from over the past 2 years I have known him. I first contacted Randy for a sponsorship for a robot team that I'm involved in. He runs a motion control business and was right in the industry that we needed help from. He invited me to take a tour of his business, and he was generous enough to help us out with some supplies. And as we were sitting in his office, the topic of faith came up, and he asked me if I was a Christian. I replied that yes, indeed I was, and he said that he had a deep relationship with Jesus Christ. It was a mutual connection that just led to a very good and deep friendship. He also offered me a job, and I've been able to work with Randy over the past 2 years. I have come to admire several characteristics that Randy possesses. First, Randy is an extremely generous man. When you call, he greets you when he has helped our team numerous times in several different ways, whether it be through financial support or through materials. He always loves to help us out. As I've worked for Randy, he has been so gracious, and each month he loves to, quote, share the profits. He frequently lends people his tools and equipment, as well as giving to those in need. And he loves to quote Acts 4:32, where the early Christians were sharing their belongings. Randy has a great sense of humor. When you call him up on the telephone, he'll greet you with, "How on earth are you, for heaven's sake?" Or when he's walking out the door, he'll say, "Okay, I'll call you if you need anything." One day I was cutting down a tree that he had relegated me to do that day, and so I was out there for a couple hours cutting the tree down. When I came in, he asked me how I made out with the elm tree. Well, we both were thinking the same thing after he had said that, and we stood there for a couple seconds just waiting for the other to laugh, and all of a sudden we just burst into hysterical laughter. Randy has a joyful heart, and that comes from his faith in Jesus Christ. He is not afraid to express his faith, and he trusts the Lord with his business and lets God provide. Even in slow times, Randy is as upbeat and joyful as ever. Randy has conservative beliefs, as do I, and we have had some great discussions about the current political arena or new issues that have come up. Before I was able to drive, Randy would drive me home. And in that time we would discuss our political beliefs and conservative issues. He is always considerate. He asks about our family and what we're up to every time we see him. He creates an environment in his business that is comfortable and friendly, and I believe that's because of his great characteristics. He extends a great deal of grace in the workplace, and this encourages great, loyal employees. I've learned a lot by being around and working with Randy Cordes. Along with being my friend, he has been my boss. But more importantly, he's been a role model for me. He is hardworking, generous, joyful, and a conservative, the makings of a great Christian man.